take a picture of your face. That's the original image. Now it's digitized. It's an Instagram or Snapchat. Now you drag over the devil's horns or the big mustache or the smiley eye, some little goofy mark. We're going to call that adjudication. So those are the three phases. You got to have the original in, it becomes a digital, and then the digital you can add something to it. There is a problem that they are reporting that there are exactly the number that came out that everybody, quote unquote, certified. You got it on the output, but you do not have it on the input. You cannot say that these originated from an original when you have no original to begin with. Now, what's really interesting is that 165,844, it kind of closely mirrors Election Day. Now, remember, if you're going to modify something or you're going to work under the radar, Election Day is the dangerous day. That's the day you really got to control, not all this mail-in stuff. Because frankly, they start counting the numbers and knowing who's voted September 10th. Most people don't know that. They start knowing, they start creating a blueprint. And when I say they, I mean Runback. They start creating a blueprint of every single ballot, who voted it, what precinct it came in, did it come back or not. That imprinting starts the first week or beginning of the second week in September. So when you get to Election Day, you basically know everybody who's activated by propensity, every precinct, how much of the precinct participate or not. You know all the data and where it is, although they tell you they don't do it. The bottom line is, I have a big question of how do you create 165,844 images that got into the final file that are not in the original file because it takes an original to make a final.
So again, brilliant. I'm just going to dumb this down for the slowpokes like me out there. We know, Jovan knows that 1.9 million went in, and yet 2.1 million came out. Where that came out of the machine. Somehow an extra 200,000, not 200,000, 166,000 somehow came out of that machine that never went in. That seems odd.
It's bad. Look, these images in the machines have always been a problem. Let me tell you how you recreate them. Now, we're searching every TIFF by ballot number. We will be able to tell you 100% when everything's done, which ballot's missing and where it's from. But what I find really interesting is on these TIFFs from the very beginning, there were ostensibly 243,000 that could not, when the state transferred them over, says, here you go, here's everything, we're being transparent. There were 243,000 of them that couldn't be read. My team couldn't read them, Doug's team couldn't read them, Ben Cotton's team couldn't read them.
Let me go back over that. So when they sent these images, there were 243,000 images that were corrupted. And they were corrupted in some really deep way that guys like Ben Cotton could not unscramble. And just so people know, Ben Cotton is like creme de la creme in the cyber, he has a contract with DHS. If DHS gets hacked, they would go to Ben Cotton. So this guy has done some amazing things. He found the great hack of everybody's secure classified materials a decade ago. I mean, the guy's a legend. And he went through these 243,000 images and said, these are corrupted, and they've been corrupted in some way that cannot be unscrambled. That actually kind of suggested it had to have been done on purpose, perhaps.
Well, every expert, and we went to additional experts outside our sphere of influence and said, here's what we're looking at. Here's a couple of samples. What happened here? Because, if a file, a digits transpose, usually you can unscramble them. There was not a single expert in the world at specifically these types of images. That's even different than election, even different than cyber hacking, that said, we cannot even explain how this was done. We can't figure it out. But they said this was intentionally done 100%. So there was this big blank window of 243,000 ballots. Now, if you remember, the Board of Supervisors basically said,
you don't know how to open a file.
Right. They called everybody ignorant. And when they said, well, turn it over to the machines, they said, oh, we forgot these. You didn't ask for an archive. We archived it before you asked for it. There was a lot of phony play in this crap.
Double talk.
And then the media, right. the paid prostitute media basically ran stories that we had the images all alone, we were dumbasses. That's kind of what the media said. Well, even when we finally get to it and they say, okay, it's corrected, you've really had it, you didn't know how to read it, which, by the way, they had to send everybody brand new files. They weren't there. And when we get them, that number still does not match.
That's the 165,000 number now.
165,844 that we cannot attribute in system by their own files that they surrendered to us.
Yep. So
either machines, they were using machines that weren't sanctioned. That could be one thing. Oh, we forgot we used these other machines over here. It was a brand new machine. It was an X crap. Or somehow in system, remember, you got to have an original to get a scan to make a modification. So how do you get a modify if there wasn't a physical? And if you can't explain it, it means the system itself creates an image.
Right. Which is where we get into, I mean, there's been all kinds of theories as to how that happens, and people make fun of vote flipping from space or something, but the system created 165,000 votes, the ballots that will report it out more than went in.